Third of the improv supergroup Doppelganger, Sashir Zamata. You may know him as a correspondent for The Daily Show with Trevor Noah and the host of Comedy Central's This Is Not Happening, Roy Wood Jr.
Hello.
And he's the co-host of the popular podcast Tuesdays with Stories. And he had a 1-hour special on Comedy Central presented by Amy Schumer. Don't Be Yourself, Mark Norman.
Hey, comedy.
So, welcome to Clusterfest.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the welcome.
It's quite a turnout here. This looks like the Starbucks racial meetings. Yeah.
Well, let's start with the newsiest question that I did warn at least one of you about. This was a week for comedians making high-profile apologies. And I want to know, not your opinions about their apologies per se, but is there anything you would ever apologize for in your act?
In my act? No. That's why it's in the act. But outside of the act, good Lord. Yeah, a lot of horrible things.
Which is why I try not to say crazy stuff off the stage. The stage is the secret baptism waters where you can say weird stuff, and it's received differently because you're seen. There's body language, there's vocal inflection, there's a lot of other things that go into it versus how somebody reads it. Now, if somebody wants to go and dig up a prank call or something crazy from 2002 and you go, yeah, it was wrong. All right, fine, I'm sorry. But also didn't do that now in the present. So let's accept the fact that people mature and people sometimes educate themselves and they're not who they were. I think a lot of the issues now is that we're trying to hold people accountable for their past instead of assessing who they are in the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Here.
less of a understanding that people grow as people and artists. And when you do that, unless it's someone who's like habitually making the same mistake over and over again, then yes, please call them out, get them out. But if it's like they did this one thing years ago and they didn't realize that it was going to blow up like this, or they didn't realize how wrong they were, but now they would make the same mistake, it's like, I don't know, give it a chance.
How is your own, each of you individual, how has your own approach to social media changed as you've become more popular?
I did a prank show for ABC. It was like 3 episodes, and because it's Disney, they made me scrub my Twitter. They they went all the way back to when I started Twitter and like found every single tweet that could even be interpreted as sexual or lewd or something, and they were like, get rid of it. And so I was already pre-scrubbed for a while, and then after that I was like, I'm just gonna like keep it pretty tame in general, just in case something like that happens again.
Yeah, when I started The Daily Show, before it went public, I kind of did that personally myself, and I was shocked. I didn't find a lot.
You were expecting to find more?
Well, I had a lot of N-word tweets.
That's okay for you.
Yeah, I feel like
you can do that.
Yeah, I feel like that was fine.
Yeah.
I still deleted those. I
Really?
That. Yeah, I don't feel like arguing with people.
Don't let them win.
Other than that, I felt like it was fine. Like, there wasn't a lot that I had to like go and let me cover.
Well, although for you, I don't want to reveal too much, but you also have multiple Facebook profiles.
Correct. I have a fan page, and then I have a separate private Facebook page, which is just literally me and high school buddies and people that I know, where I can kind of kick back and, act a little bit more of a fool in a controlled environment. And that's kind of where I can kind of take the gloves off a little bit and be a little more sillier with friends. But, outside of the prank phone calls that I did that I don't think were ever really that far on the fringe, I don't really have enough of a past. But comedically, I was never habitually on the fringe anyway. So I think I was okay.
What about for you, Mark?
I actually took a big hit. I was writing for Roseanne. No. No, I don't know.
I could have seen you getting a job writing for Roseanne.
No. I just tweet jokes. That's all I tweet. I don't put opinions out there really, so I feel like everything's in the bubble of humor, kind of. And then Facebook, I barely touch, and yeah, Instagram is just photos. Like, I don't get too crazy.
For you though, Mark, do you still tour with Amy?
Every now and then she'll throw me a bone.
But as Amy was blowing up, Amy Schumer, you were often touring with her, so you got to see that phenomenon indirectly. What did you learn about show business, about the media, about culture from seeing one of your friends become super popular and then watching how everybody reacted to that?
I learned you gotta, once you get that big, they come after you. They take you when you're on the top. She's been saying horrible stuff her whole life and everybody loved her. And then they're like, oh, now she's huge. We can take her down. That's what this country does. That's why I'll never get big.
Does it change how you approach the business side of comedy though?
Nah, not really. You know, just try to be nice to everybody. Don't touch anyone. And try to be funny and just own it the whole way. Like, she apologized a few times, which I would have not done, but then again, she's a zillionaire and I'm here.
Actually, you're both here.
What's that?
You're both here.
I'm in this room.
Oh, right. Right, Amy gets to decline the Fireside Chat.
Oh yeah, she's hanging out with Aquafina right now.
Roy, tell us about what it was like taking over the Comedy Central show, This Is Not Happening. You were not the original.
No, it was Ari Shaffir for 3 years, and then Comedy Central gave me a call and go, hey, season 4, would you like to host this show that's not yours?
Did you think this is not happening, literally?
Yeah, I was like, this is not happening, this isn't real. And I had a long talk with Ari Shaffir, and he was the first person I called. Before I called agents, managers, anybody else, I had a long talk with Ari, and we talked about being at peace with the transition and him going over to Netflix and doing everything with his show. And thankfully, I had already worked stories for the show for the first 2 seasons. So I wasn't a stranger to the process and how to build material for the show. And for me, hosting This Is Not Happening has been first and foremost about honoring what Ari built. Ari built a show that was built around storytelling, and even now to this day, across the dial, across all streaming platforms, it is the only storytelling stand-up showcase show that exists.
How about that?
So that's special. That's something very relevant. So for me, it was about making sure that I did the show as well as Ari would have done. And granted, that's his wheelhouse, and that was something that I dabble in, but that wasn't what I built my career on. And just working hard to make sure that I did a good job. And, thankfully, a lot of good comics still stayed on board. And the show, ratings-wise from this last season, did really well. And so, thankfully, the fans are still into it, even though they have a new Aunt Viv, as I like to call her. We went from the dark skin Aunt Viv. I'm the light skin Aunt Viv. So, thankfully, they stayed on board and stuck with it.
And then for your stand-up, I did rank your stand-up special as one of the best recent stand-up specials. Do you feel like hosting This Is Not Happening changed, like developing that storytelling muscle had an influence in your newer stand-up?
100%. I think This Is Not Happening gave me the comfort in building a story and being okay with the silence and being okay with spots where you're laying foundation for something that you trust is going to be funny later. And I would actually have to also give credit to The Daily Show, because what we do with The Daily Show, it's not so much about the joke as much as it is what you're trying to say, what point are you trying to make beyond the punchline, and making sure that all of my jokes carry that gravity as well, which was something before The Daily Show. You can go back, pull up all my old stuff online and watch stuff before 2015 and compare it to the special, and it's night and day. And I think a lot of that influence had to do with The Daily Show and This Is Not Happening, which I think ultimately made me a better comic.
So Sher, you were doing some really popular web series before people got to see you on TV.
Yeah. Pursuit of Sexiness.
Yeah. And wasn't that directed by the same guy who's doing Tracy Morgan's show? Last OG?
Oh, do you mean Shioke?
Yeah.
Well, I think a few people directed Last OG.
I thought he directed all of it.
I think he did 4 episodes.
Okay.
But no, he didn't direct Pursuit of Sexiness, but he did direct a video that I did where I talked about being flashed on the street. And he also directed my special, which was on CISO, called Pizza Night.
CISO was a platform that existed for 18 months.
Yeah.
And when that went away, did you have to talk with your reps about what happens to Pizza Mind, or how did?
For sure, yeah, it was a lot of talks. It's on Amazon now.
Okay.
That's where I ended up landing, thankfully. And also the physical copies of the album and stuff were there too. But yeah, it was like a long, we weren't expecting this kind of thing. And I think every show and every special was trying to find a home. But I feel like most of the things that were there landed somewhere.
Why did you feel it was important in Beats of Mind to include like reenactments and animation
I really
in the
like.
special?
I like being able to bend the form. I don't think it has to be a certain way when you're doing your special. Also, I'm a big fan of Sarah Silverman, and she does a lot of like sketches and music in her
Right, Jesus is
specials.
Magic.
Yeah. And so I wanted to kind of play with that. And I also had these bits. Like I do stand up, but also like come from like a character world and improv and stuff. And so I had these bits that I loved and wanted to do something with, and didn't really know where to put them. And so I kind of found a way to include them into the material too.
What, you have your show Party Time.
Yeah, so she made a party time.
Tell us about taking it from the basements of Brooklyn to festivals. What's that experience like?
It's been great. I've been doing it for 4 years. It's a variety show, and I host, and then there's usually 3 comics, and then we have a game, like a party game, and then there's also music. And it's just been a blast, and I've just been trying to have a way to like showcase comedians that I really love and enjoy, and then also have fun. And in the last year, we've been like taking it out on the road and going to different festivals and whatnot, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, does the show change at all when you take it out of Park Slope, Brooklyn, and bring it to downtown San
exactly the same
Francisco?
thing. No, none of the stuff we're doing is Brooklyn related. So it's not specific to where we are. It's just like I just need people to be there.
Okay.
And the base of the show is kind of like truth. So there's a lot of like games where we're trying to connect to the audience and like reveal our truth and just have a good time. One
of the other things here at Clusterfest is the Donald J. Trump Presidential Twitter Library. Roy, you've had some experience over there?
Yeah, we're touring the library, and San Francisco is the stop. And basically, it's a curated museum of all of the best of Donald Trump's worst tweets. The best tweets, the best of the worst tweets, and they're grouped off based on his confrontations with celebrities, tweets where he has given his opinion on stuff, tweets where he's contradicted himself, tweets he's deleted. And we just curated, our digital expansion team basically worked hard over a course of months of just looking at all of his tweets and basically grouping them into policy and insults and everything that makes our president the president. And the only way I try to describe it to people is it's like walking through the president's brain and just seeing all of the beautiful things that goes on in his mind at any given time.
What about it is beautiful?
Porn stars.
Yeah. It's beautiful that the same person who can call Kim Jong-un a nickname and now be friends with him enough to meet him for foreign policy, big hi-hat meeting, is also the same person who tweeted, quote, "I've never seen a thin person drinking Diet Coke." That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Also, he likes Michael Douglas.
Really?
And we know this because he tweeted it. So yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Does the library include his long-running commentary on the on-again, off-again relationship with Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson?
Oh, absolutely. That's
okay. I just want to make sure that was
part of course. We talk about his love affair with Sean Hannity. We talk about everything. Oh my God, everything with Obama and the birtherism. There's a whole separate exhibit of just tweets of him tweeting. Barack Obama is the single person that he's tweeted about the most. Out of everyone that Donald Trump has ever added on Twitter, he's added by Barack Obama the most, well over 2,000 times.
Oh, wow. He must really care then.
Yeah.
I know there's some other journalists in the room. Is there anybody who has a question? Oh, all right, then we'll keep going. Clusterfest is one of these gatherings where it brings a whole bunch of different people together because it's not just comedy, it's also music. There's also traveling shows like the Arrested Development stuff and Patty's Pub. What are you most interested in experiencing here aside from your own shows?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just like seeing all the good comedy. They're booked well this year, so you get to see, like a Jim Jeffries or a Mulaney or a Roy. or a sash. You know, you get to see fun. You know, we're always running around on the road, so it's fun to be able to same place with all these great acts. I've never seen Lonely Island. That was amazing. So that's fun.
Yeah, it's almost like a class reunion for comedians where you get to see all your buddies who you never get to tour with, you never get on the road. We're like, it's you! Ah! Like, I was hype about Jesus and Mero. I've never seen their live show before. I'm huge fans of what they do, and so to be able to see a little bit of what they've done and see more of what they're going to do this weekend, you know, that's awesome. And that's not something you get to take in on a regular basis. I also enjoyed the Comedy Central Up Next showcases because I like seeing young, motivated comics because it makes me remember like why I do this. Because you can get caught up in the business side of all of this and you can forget about just the sheer joy of performing.
I was mentioning this to you guys off stage, but do you feel watching the Up Next showcases that it's almost like a competing thing with Montreal's New Faces, or is it something completely different?
No, there's so much comedy now that you can have a bunch of avenues. I think it's fine.
Yeah, and competing in the sense that Montreal New Faces is the only avenue for a new comedian to be exposed and to be seen by the industry. No, I don't think it competes in that sense because I think any agent or any talent booker or any TV network that's really looking for new talent, they're looking year round. It ain't 1997 anymore. You're not waiting to go to Montreal to say, okay, who are the new people? Because we have no computers. If you're worth a damn in this business, you're looking year round at who the new talent is. And I think it's dope because it gives an opportunity to the audiences to discover new people as well. Because ultimately, we need people to continue being fans of this art form in order for it to live on. So it can't just be Montreal where new people are discovered. We need people at all times to be informed of who the new, acts to watch.
Right.
Yeah, and Montreal's really dropped the ball on the new faces, I think. So this is nice.
Drop the ball.
Yeah.
Drop the ball.
They're not what it used to be, you
Right.
know? I've already done it, so. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just book people with 7 credits now. It's not really a new face.
Right.
This feels
Yeah, a lot of
nice.
the new faces we've already seen before.
Yeah.
Or they're
yeah.
currently on TV.
I saw Dick Cavett on one. It's getting out of hand.
So Dave Chappelle on New Faces.
Sashir, I know you just got in today, but what are you, aside from ending this session and getting out of here, what are you excited about seeing around San Francisco?
Yeah, I'm really excited to leave this room. I just did Las Culturistas and that was super fun. It's always very fun. I'm excited to see your karaoke night.
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, Roy's hosting karaoke.
Yeah, it's karaoke.
Oh, that sounds like
Yeah.
a nightmare.
Yeah, it's fun, but you just bring out fans of stand-up and just let them embarrass themselves.
Oh, all right.
Oh, it's great.
I love
I'll
that.
pull some.
Did you take that from Ari too?
You didn't.
No.
No.
Okay. I'm waiting for a real answer.
Sashir, I know now that you're not on TV on a regular basis, have you gotten any kind of advice or insight from other former cast members in terms of like how to manage or guide your career in this phase of it?
Ooh, yeah. When Tracy Morgan hosted SNL, it was like after his accident, it was like a really big deal. He was in my office, and I mean, he's just a kind person in general, but it was really nice because he was like, he said, you need to stop being thankful. Like, be grateful for what you have, be thankful for what the things that people have given you, but after a while, you need to start showing your teeth and just stop being thankful and go get what you deserve. And I was like, fuck yeah, I agree. So yeah, that was really wonderful. I mean, yeah, there's been so many nice moments that Amy's been super supportive of me. I mean, I feel pretty, and like, yeah, she's been super wonderful over years. But yeah, most people are just like, keep doing what you're doing.
What do you want to be doing at this point?
Movies. I want to have another special. I want to direct. I want to produce. I want to act more. I'm in a movie that I filmed last year called The Weekend. It's going to make the festival run starting this fall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm very
What's
excited
that
about
movie
I play a stand-up, and it's like a love triangle thing. Tone Bell's in it too, so he's like my love interest. But he has a girlfriend.
These men ain't shit.
I invite him to my mom's bed and breakfast, and he brings his girlfriend, and it's a really awkward weekend. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
But lots of laughs ensue.
Lots of laughs, and I think it's really good. The director and writer Stella McGee is amazing, and she's going to pop off and blow up very soon.
What's it like to play a comedian in a TV show or movie?
It's interesting because usually the person who is writing it is not a comedian, or not a stand-up. So it's interesting to hear someone else's perspective of this is what a stand-up would say, or this is what they would do, and thankfully I was allowed a lot of leeway to put my input in there too and be like, actually I think it would be more like this. But yeah, it's interesting to see what other people think. I'm also seen other movies where people are like, this is the stand-up life, and I'm like, why? What are you doing? And also, why do you think it needs to be displayed like this? I saw, well, I won't say what it was, but I've just seen a lot of things where...
We can get into it.
I just get,
us.
yeah, it was
There's
just
no
us.
way.
I just get annoyed when I see a lot of people try to portray female comedians in a way that's like, we have to be hard as nails, and also we're damaged because we have daddy issues. We're gonna drink and fuck all the time. And it's like, not all of us are like that. Not everyone needs to put out their energy like that. Some are, but I don't know.
Mark?
I'd like to.
Just talk about the movie Punchline.
I just want more of a human aspect to be added to that instead of the caricature.
What about you guys in terms of seeing TV shows or movies that depict stand-up?
It never works. It's always weird. It rarely comes off normal.
Pete Holmes has a show on HBO called Crashing, which is the story of, I guess, a divorced man and his rise through the New York comedy.
It's his story 10 years ago.
The only thing that's off about Crashing, and I like the show and I laugh at it, the only thing that's off about it is the accelerated pace at which his character ascends through the comedy world. That part of it, I'm like, no. You do not go from begging people on a corner to come watch your comedy to 4 episodes later you're doing warm-up for Rachel Ray. It's like, no.
Sleeping at Artie Lang's house. Yeah. Crazy.
But it's probably, as far as what's on TV or what's ever been depicted of the art form of stand-up, probably the most accurate.
Yeah.
Outside of the timetable, I get it, it's TV, you gotta accelerate shit, but in terms of just, you take this and then you put, you know another show that does it well is The Wonderful Miss Maisel.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
On Amazon.
Oh my God.
Portraying stand-up in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yo, I know it's a fictional person, but she does, the way the writers show her going through pain for the first half of the episode, and then the back half of the episode, her taking that scene from Act 2 and putting it on stage and making it funny, I go, okay, that's real. That's how you take something deep and dark that hurt you and make it funny and expose yourself on stage. So it's probably as accurate as Crashing.
All right. Well, I think, Roy, you and I have talked about this before. I think part of why you're so great now is because it took you several years to get here.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Well, 18 to 20 years.
Yeah, 18 to 20 years. So by the time you actually got the Daily Show, it wasn't like you were a spring chicken, 25 years old, going, oh, it's my big break. It's like you were ready for it. So when you had that first night, on Trevor's first night, you got as much press as he did.
Yeah,
almost.
I feel like it's important with any opportunity you get to capitalize on it as quickly as possible, and that's all I've ever tried to do with anything that I've done. And which is why I look at, I try to talk to a lot of young comedians that have done more in a shorter time frame. There are a lot of comics who are maybe 3, 4. I think Chris Rock is an old Rolling Stone interview. I think he handicapped it at about 3 years for the average comic to get a TV credit, whereas in his days it was almost 10. And so, I meet a lot of comics who are, 6, 7 years in, and they're doing way more than I was doing at the same mile marker, and just making sure that they stay focused and know that what they're doing, that's not the norm, and you have to remain hungry, and you have to be ravenous, creatively ravenous at all times. And that's something that it's just never left me, because I'm at a point in my career where I don't know where the next thing is going to come from, or if there will be a next thing. Whereas if you start and you start getting dope credits 4 or 5 years in, then you're probably a little more lax in thinking that XYZ is also going to happen for you down the road. The thing that I'm very grateful for career-wise is that early on, when you're on the road, I started as a Southern comic on the road for almost 10 years, and you meet comedians at different mile markers in their careers. Some will come up, some will come down, and you see that failure is clearly an option. You see that failure is clearly an option. You see that people have ascended and are now descending. And so now the concept of a creative descent is real. So now that fear is buried in me, and that's what I'm constantly running from. So that's why I try to just take advantage of every opportunity.
Well, that's when it helps to remember what Tracy told us this year. Like, you go out and get it.
Yeah.
Go out and get it.
Go out and get it for sure.
Show your teeth.
Well, thankfully, you all have TV credits, and we'll have more TV credits in the future because you're all great. And thank you so much for being here. So cheer, Roy.
Bad timing.
My question was,
Go for it.
I really wanted to, I'm sorry, Roy, my question is for you, man. I really wanted to know this. You talked about on the Daily Show having a point behind your comedy and making an influence about what to say. Was there ever a story that you guys saw that you didn't have the opportunity to make that point or cover that you really wish you could have?
Is there a story that we've covered on the Daily Show where I feel like we didn't quite get to nail the point?
Or maybe something that that you maybe didn't pick up until after the story had broke. Be like, oh man, it would have been great if we did that. Or I like your idea about the point and making that through comedy. And
there's a lot of hindsight in jokes, but we only have 8 hours. We start at 9 a.m. By 5 p.m. the scripts are set. We shoot at 6. So any joke that comes after that, we should have. I think the biggest debates in the building come from how to handle sensitive material. And when the Philando Castile verdict came down from the brother in Minneapolis that was shot by a police officer, and the decision was made to not indict that police officer, there was a lot of anger in the building. There was a lot of rough emotions in the building. And we're trying to figure out what the jokes are around the reaction to that issue. And there's a big debate, and we can never talk about the victims, we can never talk about the people in pain, but you can talk about the reactions and the ludicrousy behind some of the possible solutions. Like anytime there's a mass shooting, they go, oh, it's porn, or the high school didn't have enough doors. There's jokes in that area, but what happened with Philando Castile ended up just being Trevor, straight to camera, no jokes, pure emotion about what we're feeling as a country. And I think in those instances, that's where the show shines the best, because you go, oh damn, there were jokes that we could have found that could have threaded the needle, but sometimes what people just need are just words of reassurance, and it's just what it is.
thank you, you're doing an incredible job.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's let them get back into doing comedy.
Yeah, let's go do comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Skitbags Radio.